Whiplash, enthralling and relentless. This film encompasses all aspects of great filmmaking. You will find the film captivating as you won't be able to stop watching. Despite it being exhausting, the characters enduring great physical and mental suffering. Great actors, great editing, and much more can be found in this film. As you go from one scene to another, you are constantly wondering how much more Neiman can push through, and equally how brutal Fletcher can get. Here are my thoughts and opinions on the film and how it's so fantastic. This is Filmdect. Whiplash is a masterpiece. It handles many aspects of filmmaking brilliantly. If you've watched my channel for a while, I'm sure you're aware of my video analysis series, where I take specific scenes from films and analyse them, to tell people what techniques are used and the effect on the audience. You will know that one of the films I analysed was Whiplash. In fact, it was the first one I did, and I spent 7 months analysing the film. Throughout those 7 months, there have been many videos analysing it. So it only seemed right that the new series, where I'd not only analyse but give my opinion, should be the film Whiplash. If you haven't picked up on it yet, I believe the film is stellar and is one of the best in recent years. Why? The reason why the film was so well done was because of the people involved. The director, Damien Chazelle, made the film when he was still in his 20s. However, despite him being young, he still certainly knew what he was doing. It was amazing what he was able to produce with only a small budget of $3.3 million. In fact, he didn't even have that originally. First, he made a short film, then by putting it into a competition, he was able to raise awareness and then raise funds from that.
Milk the cunt!
Down the line. No, my ears are fine. We most definitely have an out-of-tune player. Whoever it is, this is your last chance. Either you know you are playing out of tune and are therefore deliberately sabotaging my band, or you do not know you're playing out of tune, which I'm afraid is even worse.
He was also extremely efficient in his filmmaking. Due to his quick turnaround, he had to shoot loads of setups every day. For example, one day he did over 140 setups. As well as this, the core idea of the film comes from a place he has experience in. He was a drummer himself and had a terrifying teacher. This helped him a lot when creating the key characters Neiman and Fletcher.
It came out of me thinking back on my own personal experiences, and for whatever reason my mind shot back to me as a drummer with a very terrifying teacher and how I felt every day in band rehearsals. Probably because I still, to this day, have kind of monthly nightmares about it.
The actors playing the main characters were also extremely talented and were brilliant in making Damien's vision come to life. Miles Teller has also been a drummer for many years, helping him in his performance. Although, he put the extra effort in, picking up his practice by practicing 4 hours 3 days a week to make sure he was good enough. His talent as an actor was obviously important as well. Great performances are genuine, and this looks genuine.
Oh my dear God. Are you one of those single-tier people?
I'm upset.
Louder!
I'm upset.
Louder!
I'm upset.
JK also does a great job in his performance as well. Both work together to create a great chemistry between them both. JK said that,
you know, I mean, the final product of the film is I'm 95%, you know, exactly as Damien wrote it, but that 5% that we ended up having the freedom to kind of create on our own was a really joyous part of the process.
an actor who is willing to fill out the performance that little bit more really adds to the professionalism of the film. Speaking of professionalism, the editing in this film is brilliant as well. Tom Cross, who edited the film, had only done music videos up to this point, but his experience in editing the beat certainly helped him here. So, what were they able to achieve? Gripped. You feel gripped all the way through this film. Damien created a story which ramped up the intensity after every scene, and he had brilliant actors in order to make this a reality. While some people might think Whiplash is a jazz movie, it isn't. It's a dramatic thriller with compelling characters and even more compelling action. In some types of films, you experience a build-up throughout. This is one of those films. In a comedy, you don't write the funniest scene at the beginning, because otherwise the rest would be just a disappointment. Instead, you write the funniest scene for the end, and you build up throughout the film, getting funnier and funnier as you go along. Your build up to having the funniest scene at the end is what makes the audience feel satisfied. Whiplash is much the same, except instead of comedy, it is the seriousness of the events, and the tension. The start of the film feels very intense, with our first experience of Fletcher's anger. Whiplash is not only able to replicate it, but take up the intensity scene by scene. With each scene that passes, Fletcher's torturing methods become even more intense. This goes on until the end of the film, and you think, wow, I thought Fletcher kicking out the trombone kid was mean. A few seconds ago, I just thought Andrew had to rush back to get his sticks, get in a car crash, and then get kicked out of the theatre because he didn't play well enough minutes after. In fact, there's a lot of things which one feels at the end of this film. I know I did. Many people will simply be blown away by the final performance of the film, how it is shot, and how it gets even more notable with every beat. Because of this ending, lots may take away from the film that Andrew has finally achieved the excellence he wanted. Therefore, he will go on to make further strides in his musical career and become the greatest of all time. No. Well, not no exactly, but it won't be all sunshine and rainbows like some people might think. With this performance, Andrew has made a decision to become the best. But is it worth it? Andrew is clearly someone who is determined, dedicated, someone who can't be deterred from him and his goal. However, Andrew is also self-centered, egotistical, and not very empathetic. He dumped his girlfriend because she was too much time wasted, and if he wanted to be the best, he didn't have time for her. Therefore, it's easy to see Andrew as an asshole from an outsider's perspective. Like Andrew's family friends, who clearly didn't fully understand his world and how impressive his dedication is to his drumming. Now, you could argue that one needs these certain character traits which often turn people away in order to rise to the top. Whilst I don't believe this to be false, I do believe in the consequences of making this choice. In this case, severe. I see the message we can take from Whiplash is, with inexorable hard work and motivation, one can achieve greatness. But at the cost of relationships, people will not like you if you act like Neiman does. People who don't understand will be turned away from your obsession controlling your life, and people who do have as deep enough understanding and passion and drive as you do, well, they don't like you either because they're your competition. But Andrew Neiman is the person who is willing to go through that. It all comes back to this.
I think being the greatest musician of the 20th century is anybody's idea of success.
Dying broke and drunk and full of heroin at the age of 34 is not exactly my idea of success.
I'd rather die drunk, broke at 34 and have people at a dinner table talk about me than live to be rich and sober at 90 and nobody remember who I was.
Neiman would rather die young and be remembered than live to be old and be forgotten. That is what he believes. There's a reason why Charlie Parker died so young. When his body was found, he was only 34, but his estimated body age was between 50 and 60 years old because of all the damage he'd done to it due to drugs. Whiplash shows that to be the best, you must push yourself and practice relentlessly. But with lots of practice comes extreme stress, which in some cases causes people to turn to drugs. This means that sadly Neiman is likely to go on to become the best, but at the cost of his well-being. The director himself believes this. This is what he had to say when asked what happened after the end of the film. There's a certain amount of damage that will always have been done. Fletcher will always think he won, and Andrew will always be sad, an empty shell of a person, and will die in his 30s of a drug overdose. So yes, Andrew will become the best. But Whiplash makes us question how we obtain our success, and whether the method getting there is worth it. So, whilst looking for a name of this new series, where I give overviews on films and I give my thoughts on them, I decided to name it something which told the viewer what they were getting straight away. I thought simply calling it Film Overview would seem a little bit mundane. So I searched up synonyms of overview, and in doing so, I came upon the word Pandect, which can mean a complete comprehensive digest. So I put the words film and Pandect together and boom! Filmdect. Now, I've not done this sort of analysis before where I talk about the whole film and give my opinion on it. I'm not going to have this sort of thing come out as often as video analysis. Don't expect the next one for a little while, but for now, I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you enjoy some projects I've been working on between now and then.